Welcome back, you guys. We have an amazing one today. We are on Baseline Lake here in Pinckney, Michigan. You guys can see I've never put this lake in a video because I rarely fish it, but the fishing has been so freaking tough lately that I said, you know what, we're gonna get out, try something different. So I made my way up the river, as you guys just saw, and we are going to go ahead and fish Baseline, probably the next lake, which I think is Whitewood, and then probably our lake to end the day. But it is pretty windy out, but it is hot. It is, again, 85 degrees and very sunny, as you guys can see. So it might not be the best fishing weather, but you know, we are going to go ahead and enjoy this last stretch of hot weather. We got with us both the spinning rods, again, with the double flukes and then the big glide bait. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Right there, the big glide bait we're gonna throw around just to see if we can catch something on that, because if we do, it's probably going to be a giant. But we're gonna go ahead and get on over to our first spot and start chucking it. Booyah. Man, it's nice and calm over here compared to the rest of the lake, even though this is a way bigger lake than what I normally fish. So we're gonna have to go ahead and try and figure it out. I think the only responsible thing to do is pick up this bad boy, the drop shot, just until we can at least, you know, see what these fish are. I do got the graph buzzing on live scope, so if I see some in the meantime, I'm gonna make a cast towards them. But so far, I'm not seeing too much, not even any weeds. Kind of just a whole lot of bottom. There we go, got one. First one hooked up. What do we got? Looked like a bass for a second. Oh yeah, nice one too. Well, it felt like my rod was broken for a second, but there we go. First one of the day on guess what? If you guessed the Demiki rig, you are correct. The Sakamata shad, one of the hardest to find baits out there, but not a bad first little chunker. Also, my first Baseline bass of 2025. Hard to believe that this whole year I didn't catch a single one out here basically until now, but I guess it's better late than never. Sorry, I had to think about what I was gonna say. Let's see if we can get one more fish out of this. Oh my gosh, is this gonna be pushing it? But they're just so freaking good. Man, it's so easy to love that bait. I'm gonna kind of be going in between the drop shot, the Demiki rig, and probably this glide bait. I'm gonna throw this glide bait. You guys can see there's obviously a big drop off with some weeds, so I really like throwing this thing up shallow and kind of working it over this little drop off ledge. You know, sometimes you'll catch one of them sitting in the shallow water and then, you know, they'll chase it. Can't always promise you they're gonna eat it. So far, you know, this week I think I've maybe had like 5 or 6 come up and chase this. I'm not sure if it's, you know, just the mood that they're in, the water temperature's too warm, too cold, whatnot, whatever it might be. But you know, it's always worth a shot, because when you do hook one on this thing, it's normally a pretty decent one. So I always like to throw this around, and it's just fun. Like, who doesn't love throwing big glide baits for hopefully some giants? But we're gonna kind of work this drop off. I'm not really too familiar with this lake, to be honest. Like, I did take a sneak peek on Google Maps, so to hopefully find, you know, some drop offs and ledges like that. There's a couple in the middle of the lake that we'll eventually try and hit up, but right now I saw the shoreline had a decent amount, so we're kind of just gonna work right along the shoreline and out that way. There's another bass boat over there, so it's always a pretty good indication that you are in a decent spot if you see someone else fishing there. So hopefully by the time we get over there, maybe he moved on and we can have it all to ourselves. Oh, look at that. Came right out and smoked it. There we freaking go. Look at that. Metro Glide came up, smoked it right at the last second, and this is a fatty. Not the biggest in the world, probably only about a pound or so. Oops, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, maybe he won't do it. But probably only about a pound or so. But man, that thing was a cannonball. Big fat stomach and everything on that guy. But there we go. Not too bad for fish number 2. If any of you guys were wondering, I know I've had this bait on my channel probably way too much for some of you guys, but it is the Throwback Baits Metro Glide. They are not the easiest to get. You got to get them off really their Instagram page, or you know, some stores carry them, but none around me, unfortunately. Otherwise I probably would have, you know, a couple more. But I think I am looking to get one of their bone colors or more natural ones. As much as I love this morning dawn color, I'm thinking I'm wanting something maybe just a little more natural. I mean, the pink and purple is absolutely, it's probably my favorite color combo they've done, but you know, pink and purple isn't always the most natural looking thing. So sometimes when the bite's tough like it is now, you know, maybe something just a little bit more subtle to draw in some of these bigger bites. But that was a sick eat. I'll definitely try and slow it down a couple times for you guys to see that. Let's see. Feeling the drop shot. Now there's always something on here. Let's see if we can get lucky one time. Let's see if we can get lucky one time. Nope. Well, made it to the second lake down the list. First one was low-key, kind of a bust, only those 2 fish. Again, not too horrible size, but I would have liked to catch, you know, maybe 1 or 2 more, make it worth it, because man, it is a long boat ride from my lake to that one. It's about an hour or so going through the rivers, but would have hoped to get a couple more, maybe 1 or 2, maybe a little bit bigger. But that is what this lake is for. We're gonna go ahead, just beat the crap out of this weed line that's up on down this shoreline with this drop shot. Maybe throw that glide bait around. I'm not really feeling it too much. I think it's just a little too warm for these things. Middle of the day, not quite the best conditions, but the drop shot will hopefully get them done for us. Here we go. There we go. Felt that sucker. What do we got? Ooh, nice one. Felt that thump right at the boat. Yeah, you can't really beat it. Perfect minnow style bait. And again, not a giant, but a pretty healthy largemouth. Send him back down to the depths. I was about to pull it right out of the water, and I'm like, wait, Loki, why does that Loki feel like a freaking thump? And sure enough, he gobbled that up. Fish 1 in minute 1. Oh crap, what the heck? Got a little tangle. Hopefully it doesn't do it again. There we go. Here we go, the trusty drop shot on the Van Ford. If you guys don't have one of these things and you do a ton of spinning reel fishing, highly recommend it. I get they're a little up there. After taxes, they're around $300-ish, but I absolutely love mine. Shimano makes one that's like $100. that is also just as good, but you know, I shouldn't say just as good, but it is also a very, very, very solid option if you don't feel like spending the $300. But enough with that. The baby Z2 comes through in the clutch, gives us that fish we were looking for. Can't tell if this is a fish down there or if it's a log, but we're gonna go ahead and make a cast. There we go. Little runt. But there we go. Fish fork. Come on up here. Come on up here. We need them all the fish that we can get. Look at that. So you know they're hungry. Choking it. There we go. Thank you for playing, little guy. You officially know it's fall fishing when you have all these, what are they called, oak leaves or maple leaves floating down in the water. And honestly, as much as it makes me sad to see the warm weather go, fall fishing is so much fun. I wouldn't say we're quite there yet, but we're getting closer and closer every day. Today is the last day of this 80 plus. And then every day after that, it's like in the 60s or 50s. So we should be getting some of these really aggressive fall bites here within the next week or two. But I'm hoping that means we get open water till like December, maybe end of November, something like that. There we go. Oh, we got something. We got something real nice. Man, I really hope this is a bass. What do we have? That's it? That's only how big he is? Look at that. Now that is a solid bass on the drop shot. Holy crap, just popped right off. But man, I would have thought that one would have been way bigger. I was fighting like a freaking, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I thought that we were gonna have a pike right there. But that might have that was probably like a 1.2 to 1.3 pounder, and that was fighting that hard. Not sure if these fish are just absolutely riled up at this time of year or what, but man, oh man, that was a fun little fight. What is that fish? 5. All right, you guys. Okay, we're back to one of my favorite lakes on the chain, Whitewood. And every time I come here, this lake just gives me fish on the drop shots. This lake is like the most perfect drop shotting lake. There are so many ledges, cliffs, weed lines, all that stuff. You can pretty much throw it around every shoreline like this and you're bound to catch a couple on the drop shot. I don't know if we're gonna switch it up. Again, I am seeing honestly a decent amount here on live scope. For as many as I'm seeing, we probably catch less than like 10% or 5% of them. But I kind of want to try and throw around that donkey rig with the double flukes and see if we can catch something on that. I would love to get another glide bait fish because those things speak for themselves. They're fun and they're normally pretty big. But you guys just see what I'm talking about. A lot of all this weeds, leaves, and all that crap up by the shoreline is kind of screwing us over. So if we can find an area where it's not, you know, infested with weeds, I'll go ahead and give her a shot. There we go. Come here, little rat. Holy crap, is it small. All right, well, I think we've officially caught enough with the drop shot. We'll go ahead, make a couple more casts, but I think on the next lake we'll probably stick to just the glide bait, try and get ourselves 1 or 2 nice fish in quotes to kind of just cap off the video. Because look at that. Oh my gosh, another one. Holy crap, Jesus criminy. Had one jumped, but I was gonna say these ones are like the size of bait. But hey, at least we're finally getting on them. I was kind of worried that the bite was gonna be kind of trash, but look at that. Catching so many. I'm trying to talk and they just keep eating up. But these things are probably like 10 inches. But yeah, hopefully we can go ahead. I'm gonna finish up here at this lake in probably a couple minutes. Oh my goodness, speak of the devil. Finish up in a couple minutes and then we'll hit the river again, travel on to the next lake, and then probably head home. I'll see how busy it is at the home lake, but I'm guessing it'll probably be a little bit busy mixed with the waves. I do want to try and scope out 1 or 2 big northern pike. I think that's going to be the goal. I want to try and get 1 or 2 of those on camera today for you guys. But yeah, a couple more casts here and we're gonna pack up and head on over to lake number 2. And there we go, you guys. Lake 2 done. Right now we're heading on over to lake number 3, like I just said. Or maybe I got the words mixed around, but we're heading to our 3rd spot of the day. Honestly, that lake turned the bite on. As you guys can see, it was right over there by those pine trees. That's the best spot on this lake. Tons and tons of drop-offs with weeds on all of them. But there we go. Heading over to lake 3. I'll catch you guys there. Lake number Trace. There we go. There we go. We're still recording in the right freaking way. You guys know what time it is. Like I said, Metro. We'll go ahead and chuck this around. Man, can we just get 1 more on this thing? It's so flippin' fun. I gotta try and throw it in shallow water because, so supposedly one of my buddies says you need something called board weights, where you put them on the bottom of this and it'll help get down like deeper in the water column, because right now this thing swims about either on the surface or no deeper than 2 feet. So trying to throw this in water that is anything really more than like 6 foot, you're not going to have much success in. You know, I have thrown it a couple times and, you know, fish will follow it in, but, you know, I don't think that has anything really to do with the diving depth. But yeah, I don't know why it's casting kind of crummy, but hopefully you can get 1 or 2. Honestly, 1 more fish on this would be okay with me. Not even just because I want 1 more for the video, but it's because glide bait fishing is just, if you haven't done it, or if you have done it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to go ahead, get yourself a 6 or like a 7, 8-inch glide and just throw it around. And I promise you, if you catch something, it's going to be a nice one. Oh, got him. What the heck? All right, what in the actual hell is this? You know, sometimes you done see it all. Like, what is that? Right in the top of the head. Honestly, I kind of feel a little bit bad. Obviously, he went to swipe at it and missed it. But hey, there's glide bait bass number 2. Not quite the way I envisioned that, but you know what? Honestly, just glad always check your knots after, because you never want to lose something this nice. And I'm glad I did, because it just snapped off. But we're gonna go ahead and bust out the good old 6-cent draw. And just like that, look at that, tough knot. Wow, I must have got pricked pretty bad right there. Go ahead and cut off our tag ends, cut you off, and cut you off. And there we go, the draw. Now, I will say the draw, man, feels so weird throwing this compared to the other one. The draw has definitely a little bit of a slower retrieve to it. You gotta really work it, but you know, if worked good, you know, you can catch them. So I'll go ahead, try and whip this thing around, hopefully catch a couple. I have caught some nice ones on this thing, so I'm not too worried about in that respect. It's just the walking action on this is not the best, I'll say that. Or I shouldn't say not the best, it's just when I throw that throwback one so much and you switch to something that's got a different style of walking, it's gonna take a second to get used to it. But you know what, it's not too big of a deal. As long as it catches us a fish, I don't really care how it walks or glides, swims. Well, I don't know what the proper term is. Chop, I think that's a pretty one. I think that's the term I'm looking for, how it chops.